Brought to you by Penguin.
Don't laugh, it'll only encourage her. Written and read by Daisy May Cooper. Introduction. When things were really bad, Mum would always say to me, "Don't worry, it'll be a good read for your memoir one day." I suppose that's a weird way of coping, isn't it? Trying to turn the bleakest, most dire situations into positives. Mum, I auditioned to be a stripper by snogging a pole and was laughed off the stage by a bunch of topless dancers. Well, that can go in the memoir. Mum, I accidentally spent all my student loan on a penthouse suite in a fancy hotel in Marble Arch, and now it looks like I'm going to get kicked out of drama school. That's a good one for the memoir. Mum, sorry I'm late for dinner. I had to work late at my cleaning job as someone balanced a Quaver packet full of piss on the radiator in the boys' toilets, and I didn't realise it until I picked it up, so I had to wash the piss off while trying to learn my lines for that Call the Midwife audition I have in London tomorrow. That will definitely be good to put in the memoir. It'll make people think you're down to earth. For fuck's sake. If I didn't write this memoir, this would all just be really fucking sad. But faced with the boredom of the national lockdown, going on the same walks and baking banana bread day after day, I decided to write some of it down. The more I wrote, the more I felt like I was writing sketches for the Chuckle Brothers. At the age of 34, I have lived the most humiliating, ridiculous screw-up of a shitstorm life, and it's been an utter joy digging all that shit up and putting it down on paper, therapeutic even. I'm writing this memoir because I owe it to myself to tell this story. I also need the money as I've got an ant infestation that needs sorting out. Thank you for buying it. But if you haven't bought it and you're just listening to the sample on Audible, what the fuck? Why haven't you just fucking bought it? It's not going to be that expensive. It's probably only be like £6. Do you reckon it is about £6?
It's like £7 if you've got a...
£7? That's actually quite a lot. That would make me not want to buy it. Fuck's sake. That's a lot.
Yeah, well, that's just if you've got a subscription. Otherwise it's 16.
£16! 16 fucking pounds. That is fucking extraordinary. Fuck me. Chapter 1, The Borrowers. I know how boring the early stuff can be in autobiographies, so for your benefit, I'm going to skip through all that crap about how I was a cute baby. I really wasn't. I've been writing scripts and playing out a whole cast of characters in my head for as long as I can remember. To me, it's as normal as breathing. To psychiatrists, it's a pathological disorder that needs to be addressed. I blame my parents, especially my mum, because she allowed it. At no point did she step in and say, "Oh, Daisy, stop making it up." Thankfully, I finally managed to build a career out of talking utter bollocks. But back then, it wasn't as if my life's trajectory was mapped out for me. I was born on the 1st of August, 1986. The very same year the nuclear reactor at Chernobyl exploded, the Space Shuttle Challenger disintegrated mid-launch, and closer to home, mad cow disease scared the shit out of everyone. When I entered into the world, Christa Berg was riding high in the charts with his erection section classic, Lady in Red. The omens didn't look good. Besides, life isn't easy when you live with a constant chatter of voices. It was so full on that I never wanted to play with other children. The characters in my head were just company enough. This did worry my parents, but I didn't give much of a toss about having any friends. Who needs them? By the time I finished nursery, I had a largely telepathic relationship with a pet rabbit who lived in the hutch in the playground. We could communicate non-verbally for hours, mostly about Care Bears and about how Mrs. Keynes was a tight bitch when it came out to handing out biscuits at break time. It was enough. At home, living in the Cooper household was like growing up in Aladdin's cave. Mum and Dad were permanently broke, and Mum raided charity shops and car boot sales. She was an obsessive collector of threads and yarns, materials, toys, garden furniture, books, electrical equipment, and objects with absolutely no name whatsoever. As well as all the stuff she bought from car boot sales and charity shops, Mum also collected animals. She rescued everything, like the blind magpie that she nursed until it flew into the neighbour's spaniel's mouth. Even Mum couldn't rescue it then. Next, there was a cat with one eye that shat all over our shoes in the hallway and a pheasant with a mangled beak that had been hit by a car. Mum never wanted to pay vet's bills, but she did make us have a house mouse with a brain tumour put down once. She'd bury them all in our back garden. It was transformed into a pet cemetery. Even now, she has a dead parrot called Claude wrapped in gold tissue paper in her freezer. He's been dead for 5 years, but she says that she's not ready to bury him yet. Mum was always trying to feed my young and fertile imagination. She read to me all the time. There were stories about fairies at the bottom of the garden, about goblins, ghouls, ghosts and vampires. In fact, Mum actually found a little story that I had written, and I must be about, 5 or 6. And the spelling mistakes are so bad, so I'm going to read it as if you can see what the spelling mistakes are. Okay. The princess and the goblin on the hills at Castlet lived. The king, did with his men to the true wood upper ice. She could feel something whispering to her. When she brought home the book The Borrowers from a charity shop, I was hooked. No one could have predicted it would be the start of my life spiralling out of control. The family of tiny people seemed innocent enough. They lived secretly in the walls and under the floorboards of an old English house. To survive, they borrowed items from the house, which was inhabited by the human beings. I longed to make friends with them. As long as this make-believe world I was playing out in my head was contained within the 4 walls of our house in Cirencester, it really wasn't a problem. It was when I was unleashed on the outside world that it seemed to upset people. Apparently, it was hard to know where my reality ended and my imagination started. One time at nursery, we were given a thick dollop of sticky clay to play with. I'm told I showed all the promise of an early Michelangelo and fashioned the most amazing clay elephant. I was just about to go over and tell Daisy how brilliant her work was when she took her fist to it and smashed it, the teacher said to Mum when she collected me at the end of the day. She was clearly concerned. Why did you do that, Daisy? Mum asked. I had to think on my feet. The borrowers told me to do it. They made me start again, I said with some indignation. Clearly the little people were keen on me suffering for my art. Mum looked at the teacher as if this was a fair enough excuse. In fact, Mum fueled my obsession with the little people. She was always leaving notes around the house written by the borrowers. Post-its would be attached to the members of my burgeoning Sylvanian family. They read, Dear Daisy, hope you don't mind. We have nothing to eat off, so we borrowed your miniature table so we could have our dinner. See, if proof was needed that the borrowers existed, that was it. I'd never actually seen one, though, so much of my spare time was spent rummaging around in the backs of clocks or on the floor looking under the beds. My insatiable curiosity led me to attempt to lift up the floorboards in the kitchen. Mum and Dad stopped me that time. Yet, through all of this, I don't remember Mum ever breaking it to me that the borrowers weren't real. Understandably, this was causing havoc at nursery. One major bugbear for my teachers was my refusal to wear any knickers. To be fair on Mum, she had tried her best, but no sooner was she out of sight that I just whipped them off. It only fully came to light when one teacher made us sit cross-legged in a large circle. Why did you do this, Daisy? Oh, God, that question again. The borrowers made me. What do? They tell me to do things. Mum was called into the school and told in no uncertain terms that the whole borrower's fantasy had to end. Miss Cooper, it's horrendous. She's moving into a completely new realm, the teacher warned. Not only was I getting away with murder in class, but I was starting to upset the other children too, especially with the knickers thing. Fucking hell. Without the borrowers, I might actually have to make a friend. This filled me with utter dread because there was something secretly comforting about my rejection by the other kids because of them. If I was weird, then kids wouldn't want to hang out with me. And if kids didn't want to hang out with me, then I could be weird. I was happily stuck in a vicious circle of weirdness. Here's another story my mum found that I had written. I've got to explain the pictures as well that I've drawn next to them. But I think I decided to write a novel when I was about 4 or 5. This is called Wanting to Be a Mermaid. Ariel was sitting by the sea. A tear dropped in the sea. The prince came and said, "What was the matter?" "I want to see my dad and sisters." "Well, I say no. How? In your dreams. I've spelt DREMES. Dreams. She looked puzzled. What do you mean? Never mind. Oh, but please. Never mind now. That's it. Then the world changed into the sea. But the funny thing is, a minute ago, she was on land. And then I've drawn a picture of a mermaid and some guy with a very large eye and a massive nose that looks like a ball bag, and some waves that look like water. Anyway, we'll continue with this thrilling novel. Then a man of 90 years old came up to her and said, "You are in half-land." Okay, and then I've drawn a picture of a 90-year-old man. Half of him is a normal man and half of him is a mermaid, but he also has a giant breast, and I don't quite understand why I've drawn that on him. Okay, anyway, let's carry on. She was very puzzled indeed. The stupid, puzzled face was coming back again. And then there's a sort of a thought bubble, and it's just a picture of the girl who's looking really, really cross and what looks like a dog shit on her forehead, and I don't quite know why. Okay. I feel homesick. Tears were wandering round her pretty little face. She was now changing into half mermaid and half human. I've spelt half, right? This is so Gloucester. I've spelt half. HARF. Harf. Let's carry on. Herself now, she was worried. "Hello. Oh, it's you, Eric. Yes, it's me, darling." They gave each other a... Okay, the reason I'm laughing is because I'm trying to obviously write the word massive, and I've spelt it MASIF. "Yes, it's me, darling." They gave each other a massive hug and a very long, wonderful kiss. "Oh," said Eric, "you have changed into half." "Yes," said the little mermaid with her tears. "We have to solve this secret," said Eric. The little mermaid gave Eric one last hug with trembling hands. And then there's a picture of a guy who's got really hairy legs that's obviously inspired by Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid. And he's got tiny arms like a T-Rex. And then there's the girl is the half mermaid, half girl, human. And she looks like, her face looks like an arsehole that's got bits of shit or toilet paper still stuck to it. Anyway. But she's got a really great fringe. Okay, carrying on. I've obviously put there's a note at the top that is obviously like a thought for later in the book that I had to write down. And then it's coming. It's obviously coming later on, and it just says cockerel, spelled COCREL. The creatures, spelled CRECHERS. Creatures of Blackwater Sea came, and Eric had to fight them. The little mermaid had a very nasty scratch on the arm. They did win. Then they have got to ride a shark. I mean, I think it's a shark, but it's spelled shack. find the king of Hearthland, and that's going like to be finding a pin in a haystack. I'm just intrigued to see where this cockerel's going to come back. This cockerel idea, this obviously I'm fucking smitten with. Okay. And that's going to be Mrs. D, Mrs. I, Mrs. F, Mrs. C, Mrs. U, Mrs. LTY. Now, I know why I wrote this, because I had heard somebody say that in the playground and was so enamoured by it that I thought I'm going to crowbar it into this story. It now was night time. The sun was going down. They slept it in a freezing barn. And then there's a picture of a guy, Eric, I think, Prince Eric, and there's the mermaid. He's snoring, and she's got I don't quite understand what she's doing. It looks like she's trying to pull cocks out of her ears. But anyway. Oh, here we go. The cockerel. Here we go. Here's his big fucking entrance. The cockerel was macking his call at once, once spelt W-O-N-C-E. They got up. Look, there is the skark. S-K-A-R-K. Now, where do you want to go? Snaped the shark. To the half city. Yes, snaped the shark again. Okay, there's a picture of the two of them riding a shark, and I don't understand why he's got some pubic hair on the top of his fin, and yeah, it looks pretty sexual. Whee! They spooted. Look, the half city. It was wonderful. Every single light shone brightly. And then there's a picture of a city. It says rock a dodle and hi man. Don't understand what the fuck that's in reference to. They soon got off the shark. What will you give me? Well, I will give you my ring. The shark went away without saying thank you and grumpily went away. They walked slowly, I think I was trying to say, walked to the city. First, said Eric, we have got to book a hotel, said Eric. Give my necklace for the hotel, said the little mermaid. Look, said Eric, there's a good hotel to book. Come on, let's go, said Eric. It suddenly turned into like an advertisement for booking.com. And it's all just now about, there's a picture of obviously a hotel manager and them trying to book a hotel. The little mermaid took off her necklace and threw it on the table. Here, she said. The man at the till, his eyes shone as she threw on the table. How many nights do you want to book? Fucking hell, why is there there's no detail about this insane thing that's happened, which is how she turned into a half mermaid, half human. But there's a lot of detail going into booking this hotel, which is mad. How many nights do you want to book up? Said the man at the till. A week, said the little mermaid. Yes, maiden, I said. The man at the till. The Hearth King was satching, I think it says, staying in the hotel that they were staying then. They met in the hotel. Then Ariel woke up and was just saying that it was a dream, and then she saw it scratch on the arm and gave a cheeky smile. Fuck me. The end. Clearly terrified at the thought of proper human friendships, I pulled out all the stops and staged a dramatic reveal. I have voices in my head, I announced to Mum and Dad. This scared the shit out of them. Mum took me to be assessed by experts, convinced there was something unusual about me. The word Asperger's got bandied around. I was prodded and poked and had light shone in my eyes, and doctors made me play with toys and answer ridiculous questions. There's absolutely nothing the matter with her, they assured Mum in the end. This seemed to give Mum licence to carry on with her mad as fuck parenting technique, which I'm sure is the primary cause of much of my insanity. But Mum didn't think it was eccentric. To her, it was all about creativity. Daisy May Cooper was on the artistic spectrum. And I've actually found some schoolwork from when I was about 5. And it says, imagine you are a toy. I was bought in a scruffy shop and a big fat boy sold, I want this, Ted? And they bought me and he kicked me, he chewed me and he ripped me. I don't like this boy. And one day I got put in the bin and that is the end of me. And I nearly got dead in the bin machine, but a baby squirrel saved me and he brought me to a hat and it was very little squirrel's birthday. And I went to the squirrel and when she saw me, she was dancing all the way round the room like a flying pig and I'm happy with her. And I can't help feeling that had it not been for my parents, my brother Charlie and I would never have picked up the second-hand camcorder and started making up stories and filming each other. We would never have dreamed our big dream to make a TV sitcom called This Country, and we would never have ridden the peaks and troughs of hope and heartbreak for a whole 7 years to make it a success.
Thank you for listening. To continue the book, head to the link in the description below. And click here to subscribe to the Penguin YouTube channel for more audiobook samples and videos with your favourite authors. See you next time.